Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome to soulmusic.com, actually in the luxurious setting of the soulmusic.com headquarters, which is my flat, in the lovely centre of London, in Vauxhall, Mr. Ronnie Canada. How are you, Ronnie?
Good afternoon, David.
Or should I call you Ronnie, since we just found out that you actually, your mum christened you or called you Ronnie? Good. All right, well, I'd like to, there may be people who are familiar with you and there may be people who are not. So would you like to tell us just very briefly a little bit? I mean, I know that you've been a part of the Blue Notes.
Yes.
I know you've been a drifter.
Yes.
And I mean a drifter as in the musical group, not a drifter as in drifting all over the world, although you probably have done that too.
I've done
right?
that as well.
And you've also been a solo artist.
Yes.
And you've also been part of another group called Caviar.
Yes.
And I know you've probably done other things all in between all of that. And let's just start a little bit with actually how you first began your journey in music.
I was in the choir and then I joined Caramel House, which is a black repertory theater in Cleveland, doing musicals. I did a musical called Singing and Shouting, which the cast was a very big all-star cast with people like Altrina Grayson before she got with Bobby Womack. All of these people were in my cast. So from then, I was just minding my business. I wanted to do more acting and more drama and more musicals.
Yes.
And a group called Sly, Slick and Wicked came looking for me.
Yeah.
John Wilson had heard one of my tapes from me singing in church with the choir. I let him hear it one day. I was with Leo of Truth, and we went to see John because he was a tennis instructor. So I had the tape in, and he said, "Who is that?" I said, "It's me." I never thought about it. Later, I came up to Caramel House one day, just hanging around every day, auditioning for different musicals and plays. And the director, Mike Malone, he told me, he said, "Hey, there was two little guys, two short guys about your size, came up here looking for you today, and they left a phone number for you to call them." I said, "Who?" He said, "A guy named Charles Hancock." I said, "Oh yeah, Tootie, Larry Hancock's brother." He said, "A guy named John Wilson." I said, "Yeah, John." I said, "From Sly, Slick and Wicked." He said for you to come around to their house. They're waiting on you. They left a number because they're getting ready to sign a contract with a very big company, and they want you to be a part of the group. So I said, wow. So I immediately went straight around to Charles Hancock's house, and John Wilson was there. So he told me about the deal. It was with the same company that had Wild Cherry play this funky music, White Boy.
Okay, yeah.
Carl Maduri, Belkin Productions. And they wanted me in the group. And they had a contract for Mercury Records. I said, wow, this sounds interesting. He said, we're going immediately in the studio to start recording.
Yes.
So anyway, they started giving us songs to play with. I mean, we even got songs from people like Tom Bell. I mean, because Carl Maduri already had the Grammy with Play This Funky Music, White Boy.
Yes.
So that was the first group that I ever recorded with.
Okay.
In 1978, it began, but the record came out in 1979 on Epic.
Yes.
CBS Records, Sweet City, All I Want Is You, which is on Expansion Records.
Oh, wow.
It's on Expansion Records compilation called Soul Togetherness 2005.
Sure, okay. And so how did you go from there to being a Blue Note?
So I went with Hank Ballard and did the show in Pittsburgh Stanley Theater with the Drifters, with Charlie Thomas and the Drifters, the Flamingos, Arlene Smith and the Chantels, the Duprees, Bo Diddley. I mean, it was a very big show. So I came back, and the guys was a bit jealous of me, and they were a bit distraught with me because I'd done that. I said, well, man, I took the opportunity because I'm saying, you know, I've been singing with you guys for 2 years. So we rehearsed for a while, and the same guy, John Hill, who just passed away, who got me with the Blue Notes and Caviar, which is the same group, and he put me with Hank. John asked me if I came to Miami, if he sent me a ticket, would I leave Cleveland and come? I said, send me the ticket.
Okay.
So I heard nothing for John because he left Cleveland and he went back to Miami because he was the musical director for the Blue Notes.
Okay.
So I called him. I said, hey John, I've been waiting on their ticket.
Mm.
He said, matter of fact, we were just talking about you today. He said, matter of fact, and your ticket will be there this week.
Okay.
So I had no idea, David, that I would be singing with the Blue Notes.
Oh, okay.
He told me that he was going to get me to Florida. He'll give me a band.
Okay.
He'll put me with the best musicians he know and get me started in Florida.
Yes.
So he picked me up at the airport. He took me around to a rehearsal to meet the musicians and stuff. I didn't know what was going on. Then he took me to a flat and said, okay, these are the people you're going to be staying with.
Mm.
It all happened like that.
Yeah.
So he said, well, tomorrow, he said, this big guy, he says, a big, pretty heavy-set, tall guy, he's going to pick you up. He didn't tell me his name. He didn't tell me nothing. He said he's going to pick you up tomorrow.
Mm.
Okay?
Mm.
I said, okay, what time is that? What's his name? He said, well, his name is John. I said, okay, like you. He was John as well. So I waited the next day. So somebody came and knocked on the door, and it was the guy, John.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, hey, I'm John, so he never told me nothing. So he said, we're going by my house to have some dinner. So we went by his house to have dinner, right? So I'm sitting at the table. So I was shocked when the door opened and these other guys start coming in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them's face I knew from the Blue Notes,
Okay.
which was Larry Brown,
Okay.
which was the shorter, dark-skinned guy, the little widow's peak. I said, wow, this is the Blue Notes. And he introduced me to everybody. And he said, we're going in the studio to start recording this album. We went in the studio the next day.
Wow. Did they say we're asking you to be part of it, or they just, did they actually ask you, or they assumed?
You are our brand new lead singer. We brought you here to be the lead singer of this group.
Okay.
And we're the Blue Notes.
Okay. That's a lot unorthodox, isn't it?
It was very unorthodox.
I mean, no contract, no nothing? No paperwork, no anything?
Well, the paperwork was for this album.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we were going in the studio. They had contracts to do this album.
I mean, no contract to be the lead singer.
No,
They just assumed you were going to say yes?
I guess they did. I was thrown into the pond.
Yeah, that's kind of like unusual, but all right, okay. So how long were you a Blue Note? And were they called the Blue Notes?
Yeah,
They were called the Blue Notes,
They were
yeah.
the Blue
Yeah.
Notes.
So there was no Harold Melvin, obviously.
No, they had left Harold. This was the original guys.
Okay.
Okay, this was 1981
Oh, okay, all
when I
right.
came in. And they had a few discrepancies with Harold. over
Yeah, I
the
think
name.
so, around 1979 or 80, around that time.
Yeah, well, right before I came, they had Ollie Woodson.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
I followed Ollie Woodson, who sung Treat Her Like a Lady. And
Okay.
he went with the Temptations.
Right, right.
So he did Ollie did Disco Explosion, and he did another Temptations song with them, I Wish It Would Rain, I believe. He did a couple of songs. He did a couple of albums with them.
You mean the Blue Notes?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
he was
alright.
part of the Blue Notes.
Okay.
So I came right behind Ollie Woodson. So, but like I said, they had the court cases with Harold. Then they had another album out before this called The Truth Is Light.
And that was just the Blue Notes by themselves?
Yeah, it was John Atkins,
Right.
Larry Brown, Bernie Wilson, and Lloyd Parks.
Okay. So, okay, gotcha.
But John Atkins was the lead singer when Teddy was the drummer.
Right, I remember that.
But he had left the group. He sung Get Out and Let Me Cry.
Okay.
But he left the group, he came back. And these are the guys I ended up with.
And how long were you a Blue Note?
1981, when we did this album, I say until 1983.
Okay. Now, obviously this is called Caviar. It's not called Blue Notes. So when did the Blue Notes become Caviar?
Well, we were working under the name of the Blue Notes.
Yes.
We started working, rehearsing with the band. They immediately put me with Larry to learn on the choreography and everything. And then we had the band. We had rehearsed with the band. We did a show at the Marco Polo, which was a big resort on Miami Beach. That was our first show as the Blue Notes. So they were saying, okay, well, we're going to work as the Blue Notes until the album is ready to be released. and then we're gonna flip the name to Caviar.
Oh, I see, okay.
Anyway, I called Greg back. I said, Greg, that didn't go down too well with Herb, you know. He said, matter of fact, he said, hey man, he said, I'm gonna give you a number. He said, call this guy. His name is Bobby Ruffin.
Okay.
And he's trying to put together his Drifters group to go to Spain.
Okay.
So this is how my Drifters came along. And Bobby had sung with Charlie Thomas, with the real Drifters as well. He recorded with him, Music Core Records. So I called Bobby. I said, hi, my name is Ronnie Canada. I got your number from Greg Minnick. I say, I understand you're looking for some guys for a Drifters group to go to Spain. He said, yeah, matter of fact. He said, I am. I said, well, I've sung with the Blue Notes, I've sung with Betty Wright, I've sung with Hank Ballard, I've sung with so-and-so, just calling them off.
Yeah, yeah.
He said, oh, that's great. He said, can you be at rehearsal tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Okay.
I said, 9 o'clock in the morning, that's kind of early. He said, you know where so-and-so, 183rd? I said, yeah, I've been there before. So I went to rehearsal the next day with Bobby Ruffin.
Okay, and which city was this in?
Miami.
This is in Miami.
All this was in Miami.
Oh, Miami. Okay, okay.
So I got up and went to rehearsal the next day. I met up with Bobby. And the guys, I'd met the rest of the guys in the group already, because they used to be Millie Jackson's backing band.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they were all musicians, the guys who I came to Spain with. One of them was actually Clyde McFadden's nephew.
Okay.
Dill. He passed away. But they used to be Millie Jackson's band.
Okay.
And James, the other guy, he was Benny Lattimore's guitar player and O.V. Wright's guitar player. So they were all musicians.
Yes.
So we rehearsed for what? I think we rehearsed for 1 week. 1 week. I had to be there every morning, 9 o'clock to rehearse. We rehearsed for 1 week. And next thing Bobby said, hey man, we got our tickets for Spain. So we're leaving on so-and-so day. And that was in 1985. So I found myself flying to Mallorca. We did the Casino Mallorca, Mallorca Palace. Then we came back in 1986. So I stuck with Bobby, and I just worked with him again in 2013 in Benidorm Palace.
Okay.
And then we met up in Vegas, because I was in Vegas.
Yes.
Okay, I was in Vegas from 2002 to 2004.
Okay.
Sang with the Drifters, Coasters, and Plotters in the Sahara Casino.
So different, you sang with different groups?
Yeah.
Okay.
Different groups of Drifters.
Different groups of drifters, okay, okay. And when did you come to live in the UK?
I came to the UK, well, I first started coming to the UK in 1992.
As a drifter?
No.
As a member of the Drifters? No?
No, I was working with Judge Jules of Radio 1, Judge Jules, KISS Radio.
Okay.
I met some of his people out in Tenerife, and they started flying me over to record. And I started recording with Jules. I started doing all the voiceovers for KISS Radio.
Oh, okay.
Gordon Mack.
Yeah,
I did all of their voiceovers from 1992 to this present day. I'm still on my soul.
Yeah, okay.
I did Radio 1
from
1997 to maybe 2012. Every DJ, Judge Jules, Pete Tong, Trevor Nelson, Mark Goodyear, most of their shows. But I started recording with Judge Jules and a lot of dance music. And to this present day. I'm on most of his compilations and albums from 1993 up to now.
Wow. Wow. And what point is that when you came to live here? In like 1993?
No, I didn't actually come to live. I was just flying back and forth from Tenerife. Whenever they need me, they call me and I fly over and record, do more voiceovers or whatever. But it was until my cousin Edwin stopped.
Oh, yeah. I knew Edwin stopped. Yeah.
Edwin came to Tenerife.
Okay.
To do a show. And the promoter, the guy who owned the club, I said, wow, Edwin. He said, yeah, I'm booking Edwin Starr. I said, man, come on, man. You're not. He said, yeah. I said, man, I got to go to the airport with you to pick him up. So I went to the airport with him to pick Edwin up. And Edwin said, man, you sticking with me the whole time he was there. So then he wouldn't let me go. I'm just everywhere Edwin was. He wanted me with him. He said, man, come on, man, move to the UK. He said, move to the UK, I want you with me, man. I want you over here with me, man. He said, I can do a lot for you, man. I'll help you out. So I made my mind up. I said, okay, I'm going to take him up on that.
Okay.
So when I came to the UK, well, I got a daughter. My daughter's 22 years old. She was conceived in Tenerife.
Okay.
But her mother came back here to have her in the UK because of the benefits, NHS and stuff. So I said, okay, well, I got a child there. So I want to be with my child. And Edwin wants me there.
So
this is the right time.
So this is where you've been? So you've been here since then? Pretty much?
Pretty much, and back and forth to Tenerife.
Sure, okay. So do you live there too? So you kind of live between the two places?
I've lived there for many years.
Okay.
Many years, because I like the sunshine.
Well,
I love the sunshine.
You sound like Roy Ayers.
I love the sunshine.
Everybody loves the sunshine. Okay. Well, what's it like being, I'm just going to ask you the way, I think the best way to ask you, what's it like being an American entertainer, American singer in the UK? I mean, spending much of your time here. I know, as you mentioned, obviously you go back and forth to Tenerife, but spending much of your time here. What's it like being essentially, in some ways, based here? Well, how is it? What's it like?
Well, it can be, it's been up and down.
Okay.
I've had my days, like I said, I've had my own bands as well.
Yes.
After coming over here for Edwin, I was with agencies. I was with the Bill Dixon Agency from 1996 to 1998. So I had my own bands, Ronnie Canada and All Stars. Then we flipped that to Jerome and the Revelations.
Yes.
So I was in every major club.
Okay.
I've done all the Butlers, the Havens, the
Wow.
Pontons, Warner Holidays, all the nightclubs. All of the nightclubs throughout the country.
Right.
So I really love the UK.
Okay.
And I was a very big Beatles fan.
Okay.
And I always said, hey, they came over here and invaded our country.
So you're going to
I want to go and invade theirs.
Okay, so this is the Canadian invasion.
Yes.
Oh, Canadian soul invasion.
But I love the UK.
That's great. That's great.
I made it my home.
Yes.
Like I said, I got married here.
Oh, okay.
Edwin Starr was my best man.
Yeah.
And he's also God's father to my daughter, my youngest daughter.
Wow. Brilliant. So we mentioned, we're kind of bring it up today, and mentioned this album. And so is this has been reissued?
Yeah.
Or is it about to be reissued?
It's just been reissued in August.
Okay, and what label is reissuing in the Is it reissued in the UK or reissued in the US?
Reissued in France.
Oh, in France, really?
Yes, South
Wow.
Records for Japan.
Wow. Interesting. So it's not actually, so is it only available as vinyl or is it also CD?
Well, I think he did a limited edition
Of vinyl? Yeah, that's kind of come back in vogue, which is kind of shocking to everybody. But yeah, wow.
But
So,
Frank Hart is
yes.
also going to release it in America on CD.
Oh, fantastic. So how do you feel about the reissue of it? Is it kind of shocking to you?
Well, David, it's very shocking to me because this has been reissued, okay, I had the files. Nobody ever heard the album.
Wow.
Nobody ever had the album.
Okay.
There was only one single released.
So the album never came out?
It never got released.
Until now?
Well, 2009,
Yes.
that tape that Herb Reeves took,
Yeah, this is the tape.
that cassette, the masters are in somebody's garage. John Atkins' wife got the masters. And there's 3 other songs on there that we recorded. I've recorded stuff with Willie Clark and Clarence Reed. That
From TK days, yeah.
But it's 3 songs that's not on this album that's on the actual masters that we recorded at TK.
Yes.
But this was taken from that cassette that Herb Reeves took on the road and brought back. And Greg Minnick kept the CD. And somehow I got back in touch with Greg, and we were talking on the phone, and he made a statement, hey man, we need to release the Caviar album. I said, well, how are we going to do that?
Right.
I don't have the masters. He said, you remember that cassette that you gave Herb
Oh
Reeves?
no, you're not going to tell me this is mastered from the cassette.
He said, when I got the cassette back, he said, I couldn't find you to give it back to you. He said, but I took that cassette. He said, I got my own studio now.
And
I digitally
digitized it. Yeah.
remastered that whole album off that cassette. I said, you got the files? Because the guy at France was asking me for it then. He said, hey, if we can get the Caviar album, you know, I'll put it out for you. We can make a deal, 50-50 deal. I called Greg. I said, Greg, you got the files? He said, yeah, I got the files. He sent me the files in what you call an AFF?
Yeah, format. Yeah.
This is how this album is out.
Wow. From cassette to digitized files to vinyl. That's quite a journey. It's an unusual journey for an album.
And it sounds great.
Wow. Yeah. I don't have quite the same story, but I do have a similar story of something from 1980 that was on cassette. It is about to be reissued actually for the first time on vinyl. The same thing actually on vinyl. Yeah. So it's amazing technology. See, if it wasn't for technology, this wouldn't happen.
You see, it says the lost album.
Wow, that's brilliant. And so it actually just came out.
It just came out in August.
In France or Japan?
In France and Japan. Because the Japanese got in touch with this guy, and he got in touch with me and asked me, hey, Ronnie, who owns the masters? Because we did a deal before, and the Essential Media Group got involved in our situation. Okay. They bluffed us and said that they own the album, which they didn't own anything.
Okay, right.
But it's been put out on cassette, 2009. And then it was put out again in 2010 on vinyl. Right. But now it's out again, 2016, on vinyl. Okay. With the original owner of the company, Frank Hart. Okay. He actually owns Survivor Records. Okay, gotcha. So, and it's going to come out on CD? Yeah, he said he don't want to put it out until 2017. That's fine, yeah. Because of the Christmas. Yeah, I understand. And are you going to be performing these songs at all? What I'm trying to do now, Dave, I want to put my... Yeah, you did? David. Oh no! On camera. David. On camera. My mistake. The biggest mistake. Colby Dave. David. David, what I want to do right now is put my Caviar group together. Yes. Okay? I want to find the right musicians. I want to find the right voices. Because Caviar was the Blue Notes. It was a 5-man organization. So you want to do that? With the female like Sharon Page. Yes. That's what I want to do. Because this album, like I said, being as big as it is in Japan, and it's all over the world. Germany, I see it in the Netherlands. I've seen it on sites for Russia, Sweden. I see it everywhere. And I never knew that this one song was so popular. Yeah. Which song is that again? Never Stop Loving You. Never Stop Loving You, okay, good. Great, brilliant. Well, Ronnie, I want to ask you one more question and then we're going to wrap it up. I know that in the last few months you also performed with one of my long time friends, Maxine Brown. I would share with you a quick story about Maxine Brown. I first met Maxine Brown, of course, when she used to come here in the 60s, and I was a fan. I didn't know her professionally. However, the first time I went to America in 1974, she was in a show, I think, I have to really think about this, I don't remember what show she was in. It was a Broadway show, and I want to say it was Bubble and Brown Sugar, but it might not have been. It was something. She was performing at that time in a show on Broadway. And she took me to eat at my first New York deli ever. And what I remember about it is I ordered a sandwich, and people who live in Britain, our sandwiches are just, like one slice of bread and one slice of whatever it is, and that's the sandwich. And when I ordered a sandwich with Maxine at the deli, they brought me the sandwich, and I said to her, how am I supposed to eat that? It won't fit in my mouth. I was like, you can't eat a sandwich with that many layers. And she loved. So that was my first. She was my initial deli person to introduce me to a New York deli. And she's always been a good, somebody apart from being an amazing singer,
just a really warm and wonderful human being. So I know you recently, she came here, she did, I think at least one show. Did you just do one show? Was it one show or a couple
Yeah, we
shows?
did the one show, the Cleethorpes show.
Yeah, and how was that for you, singing with Maxine? You did all the Chuck Jackson parts, I assume?
Yes.
Something You Got. What else did you sing?
No, I did Soul Man with her.
Oh, Soul Man, okay, okay.
Was it Soul? No, it wasn't Soul Man. Hold on, I'm coming.
Oh, Hold On, I'm Coming. Yeah, that was one of the songs that they recorded together.
Hold on, I'm coming.
Yeah,
And
Chuck and Maxine, yeah.
I also became the MC for a minute.
Okay.
Brought her back on stage, but wonderful person, man.
Yeah,
she
is,
was like,
yeah.
wow, I was in awe, like singing, like when I first sung with Betty Wright.
And did you see the rest of her show?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I stood right there,
Yeah.
the whole show, and she wanted me to come back on as well, because I had to come back on and do something else for her, because she wanted me to MC, bring her on and bring her off.
Okay.
So I done that as well.
Wow.
She's a wonderful person.
She really is.
I love her.
Well, I love that you sang with her. All right, Ronnie. Well, it was great to talk to you.
Well,
And thank you for this time together at the headquarters of soulmusic.com in London. And you know, it's just really great to hear all the different elements of your story. I mean, how you've gone from all those different things. And what I love the most, I love all that you shared with us. And what I love the most is when I hear of a victory like this, when you have an album that never came out, and now all of a sudden here it is, and you know, thanks to the kind of world we live in technologically, you know, here you are, you've got an album in France and Japan. Of course, when it comes on CD, it will be available, I guess, pretty much everywhere, and that's brilliant. It's brilliant. It shows you that good music never dies.
It never dies.
There you go. A good way to end. All right, thank you, Ronnie.
Thank you, David.
All right.